in terms of legalization of drugs, I think that the battle, the war on drugs has been an utter failure, and I think that we need to rethink and decriminalize our marijuana laws. But I'm not somebody who believes in legalization of marijuana. What I do believe is that we need to rethink how we are operating in the drug wars, and I think that currently
Good to see you, sir.
Pleasure to meet you.
What's your name?
Scott Turner.
Scott, thank you so much.
I have a question for you.
Go ahead.
In the states where medical marijuana is legal,
Yes.
and if New Hampshire, if it's legal here,
Yeah.
I would be somebody who would benefit greatly from
Right.
it. What would you be doing to stop the federal government from putting me in prison for using something that's legal here in New Hampshire?
I would not have the Justice Department prosecuting medical marijuana. It's not a good use of it.
You know, again, I'm not familiar with all the details of the initiative that was passed and what safeguards there were in place, but I think the basic concept that using medical marijuana in the same way with the same controls as other drugs prescribed by doctors, I think that's entirely appropriate.
Federal law, of course, still considers it a controlled substance,
Right.
and there have been attempts from Washington to punish doctors.
Yeah, I mean, I would not punish doctors if it's prescribed in a way that is appropriate. That may require some changes in federal law. I will tell you that, you know, I mean, I want to be honest with you, whether I want to use a whole lot of political capital on that issue when we're trying to get health care passed or end the war in Iraq is, you know, the likelihood of that being real high on my list is not likely.
But it's safe to say you wouldn't be.
What I'm not going to be doing is using Justice Department resources to try to circumvent state laws on this issue, simply because I want folks to be investigating violent crimes and potential terrorism. We've got a lot of things for our law enforcement officers to deal with.
I will provide our intelligence and law enforcement agencies with the tools they need to track and take out the terrorists without undermining our Constitution and our freedom. That means no more illegal wiretapping of American citizens. No more national security letters to spy on citizens who are not suspected of a crime. No more tracking citizens who do nothing more than protest a misguided war. No more ignoring the law when it is inconvenient. That is not who we are.
All right. Gentleman right here in the blue.
Senator, first of all, thank you for honoring the wishes of the people and not taking lobbyist money.
Absolutely. I appreciate that. You bet.
It's been reported that you and your wife are in the globalist CFR, which is a Council on Foreign Relations. I'd like to know if that is true, and also I'd like to know where you stand on the North American Union, which has been confirmed recently in the press. Ron Paul actually spoke about it, and the Congress has actually spent some money on it. This North American Union involves a union much like the European Union, only with Canada, Mexico, and the United States, and the possible merging of the money system into a piece called the Amero, which would actually strip the United States of some of its sovereignty and perhaps our rights. Where do you stand on that?
Well, first of all, I'm not the Council on Foreign Relations. I don't know if I'm a official member. I've spoken there before. It basically is just a forum where a bunch of people talk about foreign policy, and so there's nothing. There's no official membership. I don't have a card or, you know, a special handshake or anything like that. In terms of this North America, union, this has been something I know Ron Paul's talked about and people have been talking about. I have to say, with all due respect, that I see no evidence of this actually taking place. I think this has been something that has been ginned up in certain blogs and the internet. It was based partly on the fact that there's this highway being built in Texas that will facilitate more transportation and travel between Mexico and the intercontinental United States on up through Canada. And so people have perceived that this potentially means that somehow there's going to be this union like the European Union. There's no evidence that that's taking place. NAFTA helped to break down barriers of trade between those three countries, and I was opposed to NAFTA because I thought that it didn't have the labor and the environmental standards and the safety standards that would look out for U.S. workers. But I don't think that there's some conspiracy to create this one, you know, continental government between Canada and Mexico. I see no evidence of that. All right? Okay, next.
Obama, the youth of America and many Americans consider you a bright beacon of hope for the future, and you are a civil rights advocate. But could you please explain to me why you voted to reauthorize the Patriot Act, which is the worst attack on civil rights of Americans? And we do now know that George Bush's fabricated reasons to go to war were fabricated, so we do not need the Patriot Act to keep us safe.
Let me tell you what. First, it's not actually true that the Patriot Act was the worst. Most of the problems that we have had in civil liberties were not done through the Patriot Act. They were done through executive order by George W. Bush. And that's why the first thing I will do when I am president is call in my Attorney General and have he or she review every executive order to determine which of those have undermined civil liberties, which are unconstitutional, and I will reverse them with a stroke of a pen. And so that's actually how the worst abuses have occurred. That's what happened with Guantanamo. That's what happened with the warrantless wiretaps. That's what's happened with the suspension of habeas corpus. That's what's happened in terms of the rounding up of Americans of Muslim extraction. Those weren't done through the Patriot Act. Those were all done separately. I want everybody to understand, you know, I taught constitutional law for 10 years. I take the Constitution very seriously. The biggest problems that we're facing right now have to do with George Bush trying to bring more and more power into the executive branch and not go through Congress at all. And that's what I intend to reverse when I'm President of the United States of America.
Executive Order 11003 allows the government to take over all airports and aircraft, including commercial aircraft. Is that a problem? Absolutely. Executive Order 11004 allows the Housing and Finance Authority to listen to this. You ready? Relocate communities, build new housing with public funds, designate areas to be abandoned, and establish new locations for populations. And what does that smell like?
That smells just like Agenda 21.
Now, there has been a debate as to how many executive orders have been signed by Barack Obama relative to the other presidents.
The executive orders that he's signing now are just amendments to Bush's executive orders, of which there were over 400, and the president before him, Clinton, of which there were over 400 executive orders signed.
In addition to the executive orders that Barack Obama has initiated, okay, such as this one, 11005, allows the government to take over railroads, inland waterways, and public storage facilities. Just because Bush didn't sign that, he had to come up with a new one. But the most impactful thing that Barack Obama has done has gone back of amendments to our previous president's orders. So the count that they're giving us, Susanna Cole, of Barack Obama's executive orders doesn't even include the amendments that he's made to all of the other previous presidents, does it?
No, it doesn't. And if you want to count the amendments, it's triple.
Here's another one. Executive Order 110049 assigns emergency preparedness function, listen to this, to federal departments and agencies, consolidating 21 operative executive orders issued over a 15-year period. So 21 right there with 11049, he's consolidated 21 previous presidents' orders into one.
Yes.
Okay? So you understand how, not just how complex this is, but how deceptive it is. How deceptive it is that Barack Obama is not only doing, and you know what, I would say that the one that concerns me the most, and he could literally have the power to kill at least 1 billion people, is this one right here. Allows the government to seize and control the communication media, which includes internet, right?
Yes, and in comes U.S. Ignites.
And in comes U.S. Ignites. That's right. Executive Order 11051 specifies the responsibility of the Office of Emergency Planning and gives, listen to this, authorization to put all executive orders into effect in times of increased international tensions and economic or financial crisis. Basically, every single executive order, with the stroke of a pen, by the authority vested in him under the Constitution, he says, right?
That's right.
That all executive orders ever signed by any president will automatically go into effect under international tensions and economic or financial crisis. They automatically go into effect by Barack Obama's signature.
Yes, one signature.
Can you imagine?
One signature.
All right, listen to this. 11310 grants authority to the Department of Justice to enforce the plan set out in executive orders to institute industrial support, to establish judicial and legislative liaison, to control all aliens, to operate penal and correction institutions, and to advise and assist the president. Number 11921 allows the Federal Emergency Preparedness Agency to develop plans to establish control over the mechanisms of production and distribution of all energy resources, wages, salaries, credit, and the flow of money in U.S. financial institutions and any undefined, did you hear this? Undefined national emergency.
Mm-hmm. He doesn't have to explain what the emergency is. He owes no explanation. All he has to do is say there is one.
Okay. And we allow this?